All right, everyone. This is the commentary for this thing. This is Trey Parker.
Hi, Matt Stone. Can't wait to get into another round of exciting commentary minis.
Yeah. As we have on other DVDs, we don't really believe in doing commentary over the entire thing because who wants to hear us talk for that long besides ourselves? And so we like to do what we call bite-size commentary, or actually this is more fun-size commentary, which will be a bit shorter. But
we're doing commentary Lunchables.
Episode. Yeah. So in this shot, really what we were going for was the innocence of childhood. And you can see that we put 5 trees behind the boys and 2 trees behind the shot with Cartman. We believed that 7 trees best represented the innocence of a child.
That's true.
This was actually the first episode of the run.
4th season.
Yeah, which was only like 4 episodes long, actually. It was in the spring. This is when we were doing kind of like 4 episodes here and 5 episodes there. And but this was the first episode of the year 2000, which is why it's called Tooth Fairy's Tats 2000, because everything was about, as soon as the new year started, it was like this 2000 and that 2000. Yeah. So we just decided to call every episode whatever it was. And
we didn't end up doing it. Yeah, we ended up doing it just for 4 episodes. We were going to do it all year, but then it did kind of lose its luster.
But this episode has the glorious distinction of being the first episode that Timmy was in. And here's
right here.
Timmy. This was
This is all that. This is in this episode. It was just this joke that Kenny needed to get his tooth pulled out, and Timmy was gonna be, with his little wheelchair was gonna be.
We were just thinking, okay, what's a funny
just
way we can
joke.
have Kenny's tooth be pulled out, and we came up with, let's have it like be a little handicapped kid in a wheelchair.
And this was a big fight with the network. This scene,
yeah, Comedy Central was like, no way, you cannot do a kid in a wheelchair.
So we had this big fight with them, saying that, look, and our defense was, and it still is with Timmy and people who have problems with characters like that, is we think of Timmy, and the boys think of Timmy as a full-fledged human being. And he's not bummed out, and they're not ripping on him for his disability, and he's just part of the fun, really,
He's just part of the world like everyone else is.
Yeah.
Instead of like everyone wanting to sort of, without sounding too philosophical, instead of everyone just sort of liking to ignore handicapped people, for us it was better to just make them a character. Right. So we finally won the fight, and I remember there were all these notes going back and forth from the network saying, okay, well, like a little less and a little more just Timmy. And it was just like, we kept going back and forth. But what happened, of course, was that Timmy was a big hit in the episode. And
no, what happened is that we decided we wanted to do the next episode. We wanted it to be all Timmy before this had aired.
Oh,
actually, just before this had aired.
Yeah.
And then we had to convince the network that we wanted to do not just one little joke or one little scene, but a whole episode, which is coming up later on your wonderful DVD. But then Timmy became a huge sensation.
Yeah. And then within a day, literally, Comedy Central was like, we need more Timmy, guys. Do you want to do more Timmy episodes?
Can we get some more Timmy shirts and Timmy crap to sell?
And it was pretty weird for us because it, like, all the way up until then, whatever this was, like our 2nd year or 3rd year, it was like everywhere we went, it was always like, oh, you killed Kenny, or, kick you in the nuts or something. And then all of a sudden, everywhere we went, it was Timmy, everyone screaming Timmy at us, which was cool. It was a nice little revival for us.
Do you know that this is the episode that Richard Belzer's in, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
And how did we get, wasn't it something where we had his picture and instead we used Charlie Sheen? It was something we did for something. I don't even remember. But anyway, the reason why he's in this episode is because we used him in like a MTV Movie Award thing. Remember we did a Who Died This Year?
Oh, yeah.
And we used Charlie Sheen instead of Richard Belzer. After we had promised Richard Belzer we'd use his photo. And he was a huge fan, and he was totally cool, and he was like, well, let me do a voice.
Yeah, that's right.
And so he does the mafia kid's voice in this. He does a great job, actually. Yeah. It's really cool.
But what's really funny, if you notice, in our usual way of how we, are always finishing the show Tuesday morning before it airs, you'll notice that at the very end, his character's voice changes a little bit, and that's because it's me doing it, because we couldn't get Richard Belzer to come in at 4 a.m. and do all the new lines. So.
And this is the one where Kyle has just a big trip out sequence at the end.
Yeah.
With Primus.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was kind of a weird end to a show. We just kind of said, all right, now everything's a big weird trip.
This was still in the seasons where we thought we needed a C story. This is before
Yeah.
Like lately, we just do an A story. We first thought you had to have like an A story, a B story, a C story, all in 20 minutes. And so trying to service all that makes the shows not as good. I think.
Yeah, it's better when you bite off less. As in a commentary mini.
Yeah. But my favorite scene in this show is the scene at the den where they're talking about the giant squirrel or whatever. That's like,
it's a chicken. Or is a squirrel?
Like squirrel chicken. But anyway, that's plenty for this episode because we don't want people to be thinking that we don't want to
burn
this
out
long on every episode.
How much was that? 6 minutes? Oh my God,
wow.
That's almost a
We're
commentary
sorry.
maxi.
We're sorry. We will not talk that long
I've
again.
actually run out of money and can't go to the grocery store for at least a month.
So this episode was called Cartman's Silly Hate Crime, which was sort of our statement show against hate crime legislation.
Which we thought was silly.
Yeah, we still think that's kind of silly. But part of this, I remember this was right after. This was right after we had gone to the Academy Awards, actually, and it was
right?
which is why we made it Phil Collins Hill, was because basically I had just lost the Academy Award to Phil Collins, and I didn't take it well. Because I was fully ready to lose the Academy Award for Best Song, but just not to Phil Collins. That just really bummed me out.
It's a bummer to be beaten by Phil Collins at anything in life.
Yeah. But this episode might have been the first episode, or at least one of the first episodes, to feature the voice of Token, which was played by our head of our storyboard department, Adrian, just because he was the only black guy we had in the building at the time. So we said, well, I guess you have to be Token, dude.
Yeah, it only made sense to use him. It didn't really make sense. Me and Trey couldn't get the right, inflection, the right feel. You needed a black person. That's funny right there.
But I think my favorite part of this episode is when Cartman starts pulling Disneyland out of his ass at the end. That was just sort of one of those things that the network couldn't even really give us notes on because they just didn't understand it.
We were really surprised that they would let us do that because Disney is so hardcore about suing people.
Yeah.
It's really hard to use Disney kind of stuff in a show and get away with it, and they let us do it.
Yeah.
Another thing I remember about this episode is when Cartman gets sentenced and he gets sent to the juvenile detention center. The music that plays is an homage to Oz.
It is the music from Oz, actually.
Is it exactly music from Oz?
Yeah,
no, I
because
think we didn't know.
No, because Anne sent it out, and actually
Oh.
the people that did Oz were big fans and said, yeah, you can use our music, so it's the exact thing.
Oh, so it's more than an homage.
Yeah.
And right here you'll see how much care we take in the voices. You'll see here, that's Trey, and then the other guy on the frame left, FBI guy, is me, and then at the end of the scene it's Trey again. You'll see. That's me.
That's me.
Okay, so that voice goes with that guy. And then right here, you'll see. That's
it's
Trey.
me, yeah.
That's terrible.
You know that we probably do that at least every other show where voices just change randomly.
Just because we just don't give a crap. That's really terrible.
But yeah, that's probably plenty about this episode, actually. So we'll move right along.
To more commentary minis.
Mr. Cartman, do you know a boy by the name of Token?
So this was the episode we did after we had done the Tooth Fairy show, where we just done that little scene with Timmy, the handicapped kid, and we just loved that scene so much that we said let's do a whole show with that kid.
Yep. So a whole show with Timmy. The network didn't like it too much, but I can't remember how we sold it to him. Probably that would just.
I think we basically just said, well, we don't have any other thing for this week, so it's either Timmy or nothing.
We don't have any other ideas.
So they went with Timmy. But it went over huge, and next thing we knew, Timmy was sort of the most popular character on the show.
And this show, I remember Isaac Hayes loved this show because it kind of, we do this whole thing with ADD and Ritalin. And Scientology is actually, they have one of their big programs is against Ritalin use with kids. I don't know why, but they're really actively against Ritalin.
Ritalin stopped Scientology?
No, the Scientologists run programs to keep kids off of Ritalin. They think it's like,
Well, see,
kinda
they
weird.
do one good thing.
they do for all the goofy stuff. They all the goofy stuff they believe. Every once in a while, there's a gem.
Oh.
Even a fool's right once in a while.
It's like the Nazis. But this episode was funny about this too, was that we decided once again to have Phil Collins on it because, like, it was pretty juvenile of us to put Phil Collins in an episode before this, make it Phil Collins Hill because we had lost to him at the Academy Awards. And then it was super juvenile to do it again the next week.
It was just downright lame.
It was just downright immature. So we thought that was sweet. And we actually, at the end of this, have him with an Oscar stuffed up his ass. And once again, if it would have been anyone else, we wouldn't have done it. It's just Phil Collins. And this was also, I remember this was, we had fun heating the band equipment back up again to do Timmy's song.
Yeah, when we actually cut a CD, remember? We actually put out a CD, a small run of CDs with Timmy and the Lords of the Underworld. It wasn't a huge chart smash.
Yeah.
It wasn't a chart topper.
Timmy became difficult because it is extremely difficult to write entire shows around a character that can only say their own name.
But we keep coming up with these prop characters like Kenny and Timmy that you can't really do stories about, and then we'd insist on doing a whole story about them, and it's almost impossible to do because they can't talk.
It's tough, but Timmy's great.
Yeah, and we're into challenging storytelling.
Yeah, and speaking of challenging storytelling, I think we're gonna move right along to the next episode. So this episode's called Concording Quintuplets, and it's actually one of the perfect examples of how we do things here at South Park, because I remember this episode. Because it was the fourth one, we had no idea what it was going to be the Thursday before it aired. And we had the only idea we had was like, let's have quintuplets move in.
Well, I think we just seen a Cirque du Soleil, too.
Yeah, but
we're like, let's work
no, because remember, first it was quintuplets, because we actually did an ad where the girls were talking just in normal voices.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And they were sitting there without accents or anything. And it was like, the boys meet, quintuplets. And it was just had like a whole commercial that went out on Friday that was like just the girls talking. And then, of course, none of that ended up in the show because by Friday we had decided, let's have them be part of Cirque du Soleil, and they're actually from Romania. And then we changed it all. But the other perfect example was because it got to be Sunday morning, and has happened so many times in South Park. It was Sunday morning, and we kind of had half a show and no idea where to go with it or what to do. And it was Easter, right? Or it was right around Easter when the Elian Gonzalez thing happened.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with that kid, with that Elian Gonzalez kid happened, and we just watched the news that morning, and then we're like, let's just do that.
Yeah.
And we
just
basically
come in and we had the storyline where they were from Romania and trying to defect, which is basically Elian Gonzalez from Cuba, and we said, let's just make that the show.
Yeah. And so we sort of tweaked and changed the whole show, and then added this scene where, just like the images everyone had seen on TV on Sunday, the Janet Reno came in a bunny outfit and got and opened the closet on Stan, and it was the first time that sort of the people that were watching were really shocked at like how the hell did they do that, because it was for an animated show to do something that basically had just happened 2 days before. People were just
it might have been a record. We might have broken some kind of record.
I think no one gives us credit for that, but I think we did break that record. And pretty soon, obviously, all animated shows will be able to do that, but I think we
all animated shows could do it now if they just got their shit together and worked hard like we do. Sitting around, picking their ass. We work hard, that's the point.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing the fucking show that shows Wednesday. We're doing it on Sunday because we work so hard.
We fucking work hard.
We do. It's just funny. We put everything up.
We work really hard. Yeah.
We've done it a few times since, but this was the first one where like it aired on Wednesday, and Thursday morning the phone started ringing literally from newspapers and people just going, okay, what the hell was that? How did you just do that one shot? And actually, we didn't do just that one shot. I mean, we really added that whole scene, and we're able to do that. I mean, we needed something. We only had 15 minutes of show, so we had to put 6 or 7 more minutes of stuff together.
And this part, I mean, I really have a love-hate relationship with Cirque du Soleil, because I do think they're really cool, but you do feel like a big fag sitting there watching.
It's pretty rough. It's all just it's just the perfect thing, because it's basically just the Beijing circus, but repackaged in a faggy French way to make you like it. But it's still pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, that's cool, I guess.
The music's kind of rough.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, I don't think we have anything else to say about this episode that would be interesting. I think we should just stop right now.
Let's go practice.
So then we entered into this run of shows that we did basically in the summer, sort of like June, July-ish. And the thing I remember about this season was, was just sort of like before every run of shows, whether it's 4 episodes or now they're longer, 7 and 8, but we have what we call a writer's retreat, where we like get, basically our friends together, and we just go somewhere in the country and hang out and come up with just sort of broad stroke ideas for shows and sort of
And
like,
drink.
let's do a show about this and let's do a show about that. But really, it's just an excuse to go and party on other people's money. But I remember that the retreat for this run of shows, we actually got on a cruise that went to Ensenada, Mexico. And we really thought, like, that'll be sweet because we'll be kind of like trapped on a boat and we'll get like a lot of work done.
Instead, we were just trapped on a boat.
And we were just trapped on, and just the scummiest, like, just, pools and whirlpools filled with pee. Just like, it was just the biggest, like, frat party, like, horrible thing down to, the biggest shithole in the world, Ensenada, Mexico.
It was a booze cruise.
I don't know what the hell we were thinking, but,
At least the food was terrible.
yeah.
The drinks were totally shitty. People would come up to us on the boat and be like, "Hey, are you Matt and Trey from South Park?" And we're like, "Yeah, we are." And they're like, "What the fuck are you doing on this cheap ass cruise?
Because, yeah, it was like a fucking $300 cruise, too.
Can't you guys afford something better?" We're like, "Yeah, like, why are we on this cheap ass cruise?"
And it was only because Ensenada was the only place we could go that was, like, short enough. Otherwise, we'd be gone for, 10 or 12 days.
The other thing I remember about this episode is a lot of people, we were concerned, and I think it was a just concern. It seems like the concept of NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association, that we must have made that up.
Yeah.
And we always come, when you tackle something that's just so extreme and weird like NAMBLA, you run into that problem where this episode's funny if you know NAMBLA is real, and if you think we made up NAMBLA, it's not as funny. But I think most people know about NAMBLA. But I remember that was a big concern going into this episode, is really trying to make people know, like, sometimes we feel like doing that in an episode. We feel like just saying to people, no joke, stop the show, this is real. This really exists. Now watch the show again. Of course, you can't do that. So, but NAMBLA is one of those things.
But this was also basically in the soap opera world of South Park. I think this was why Garrison gets arrested in this show for being the guy that Cartman's trying to meet later on.
Yeah.
And from being arrested, he gets fired from being a teacher, which much later in the next season will come into play because Garrison's out and the new teacher's brought in.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is this where it starts?
And Garrison's off in the woods somewhere, like being a hermit.
I like the end of this episode too. We did a French farce kind of stupid.
Yeah, but it
Running
took a
around
song from
outdoors.
some French dude. What was that guy's name? Whatever.
can't remember.
Jean Francois, whatever. Who cares? See, it's starting to get boring. So I think we'll quit there and we'll move on to the next episode.
Move on to the next commentary mini.
Good morning, children. Mr. Garrison is away today. I am your substitute teacher, Mr. Weiland.
Oh, sweet dude, substitute teacher.
Now, I understand that some students in this class like to mess with substitute teachers.
Oh, right. This is
Okay, just go from there.
this is Cherokee hair tampons. I remember now because this was when one of our writers was doing actually like cayenne pepper and lemon juice.
Oh yeah, she was getting rid of all the toxins in her body.
Yeah.
She was doing a special diet.
And I remember
thing.
Matt
Fast.
yelling at her and saying, "What is a toxin?" And she was going, the toxins you have to get out of your body. He's like, what is it? And of course she couldn't answer that. But so it was just sort of our response to New Age. But the cool thing about this episode is we got Cheech and Chong to do it, and it was like the first thing they done together in like years and years and years.
It was the first thing they'd done together in years, and actually, we contacted each of their agents or managers, and we told them exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted it to be Cheech and Chong playing these two Mexican guys who were pretending to be Native Americans, and both their managers and we were really upfront about what it was, and then we actually recorded them. I think you were on the phone with Cheech, or who was on the phone with Cheech?
I don't remember. They wouldn't do it together, though.
They weren't in the same city.
Right.
No, and I was on the phone with one, and Trey was on the phone with the other, and both of them were like, "Who's going to play the other guy?"
Yeah.
And it was like, "Oh, Cheech is going to be the other guy," and Tommy Chong's like, "Oh, really? That's cool." And it was like,
But at
neither
first
one
he
of
was
them
like,
know.
"Oh, Cheech won't do it." And we're like,
Yeah.
"No, he said he'd do it." And they're like, "Really?" And it was just kind of like,
Oh yeah, Chong came by the office. That's
Yeah.
right. But both of them were. It was weird because both of them were totally open to doing it, but neither one of them knew that the other one was totally open to doing
Yeah.
it. But we were told. I don't know. It was strange, but it's pretty cool because it was the first thing they'd done in a long time, and now I think they're doing now they're all together. I think they're doing something.
yeah, now they're doing stuff, which is good.
And this episode, just as importantly, features the voice of our sound guy, Bruce Howell, as the substitute teacher, who does a brilliant job.
Because this is where we had, at this point, Garrison had been arrested had been arrested in the show before that where he tried to have sex with Cartman. And so now in the continuing saga of his teaching, he goes off to try to be a novelist, but he can only write about penises.
Yeah. It's really Garrison discovering that he's gay.
Yeah, because Garrison still is in denial here that he's unlike now, where now in the show he's fully out with Mr. Slave.
And then this show also has, we've done this a few times in the show, and we don't do it anymore because it's really hard and takes a lot of our time, and we're more lazy now. But we used to do live action commercials every once in a while. And we did one for Cherokee Hair Tampons, and it features our other sound person, Lydia.
She's the one who they pour that. She's the one whose hair is as absorbent as a tampon.
And it's weird is Lydia actually in real life has very absorbent hair.
We've noticed.
Really? She got hate mail?
She got hate mail.
From what? Native American groups or something?
Oh, wow. All right.
Betraying your people?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. We've rambled on way too long on this episode. We'll see you on the next one.
Y'all know enough about this episode? All right.
Everybody misses you, and though we hate to cause a fuss, we'd like to say get well soon, and please don't die on us.
So this was called Chef Goes Nanners, and it was based on what was going on at the time was that it was South Carolina, right?
I think it was South Carolina.
Yeah, they had their big flag debate was going on and whether to change their flag, and so we decided to do that in South Park.
Yeah, but the flag we did in here was a little bit more extreme.
It wasn't quite what the South Carolina flag looked like. The only thing I really remember about this episode was that there was something about it being. It was right around 4th of July. Remember that we were doing it?
Yeah.
And it was like we just bailed on the end. Like it was 4th of July was the day we were supposed to be finishing it.
We all wanted to go see fireworks.
We wanted to go see fireworks.
We work every 4th of July, and we always work till too late, and everyone misses fireworks. And this year we were like, okay, we're getting out of here in time to see fireworks.
Yeah.
And so we all kind of left.
And it was just the very end. But I remember that the very end, we were just like, oh my God. We just threw something together and tagged it on. But it kind of makes sense, I think.
I think it's pretty good. I like it. And I also like the Ku Klux Klan part of this show.
Yeah, I like when the Ku Klux Klan gets together at one point and they do who's got the funniest thing on under their robe, which is actually a thing we actually saw the Klan does. We saw it at the last Klan rally we were at.
Yeah, it's good stuff. We're down in Arizona at the Klan rally. And this is also an episode where Cartman and Wendy have their kind of forbidden weird love thing.
Oh, yeah, we did. Oh, remember? Actually, the very ending we had thought of before. We thought it was sweet where Wendy's like, oh, in that, it was just because we work together and, of course, we don't really like each other and just walks away. And Cartman's just left there standing alone. And he just kind of, it's like this big bummer of an ending where Cartman's actually, like, he really did like her, but kind of walks off sadly, and then that's the end of the show. It's pretty sweet.
It was like a downer ending.
Yeah.
It was one of the first times we ever did that. We've done that a couple other times, but it was kind of cool. Added some weight to the show.
Yeah.
Some much needed weight.
But, yeah.
Other than that, this was one of the episodes that we just buzzed through. And looking back, it's a lot better than I remember thinking it was at the time.
Yeah.
It
This was
actually holds
about the
together
time,
pretty
and
good.
it was actually sort of in the next couple shows we really figured it out, but this was right about where we started going, oh, a show can really just be about one thing. Like, we were still in our A story, B story, C story mode.
And then try to shoehorn them together.
And then actually with Finger Bang, which is coming up soon, with Finger Bang, we just did one story, and we're like, that works so much better. And that's the formula we followed ever since.
And South Park, we think, has gotten much better.
Because of that. Because we don't try to service all these little stories all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's enough about that.
That's enough about this.
I'm sorry. See you next time.
Ned? Tonight!
This was our Finger Bang episode. And this is our boy band episode.
I remember when we were in college, we actually wanted to start a band named Finger Bang. Remember that?
I think we did. We lasted about a day. But, this was our show that we finally sort of figured out, like, oh, just do one story. And actually, this was also one of the 2 times on South Park so far that we've gotten away with saying cunt.
Yeah.
On television.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah, because Wendy in the song says that's because she's a contaminated water. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And the other time,
they let us get away with that, but they did.
Yeah, no, I think that's horrible, actually. I was sure they would have beeped it out, and then it aired, and they didn't beep it, and I was really offended.
And this episode also features the voice of one of our friends named Marcus Vaughn, who's the guy who's the mall manager who's like, what? Who
pretty much talks like that.
And it's pretty much based on Marcus. Marcus actually talks like that as a person. You're like, hey, Marcus, what are you doing? Who? It's like, you. Oh, I'm fine. How are you?
What time is it, Marcus? Who?
Big stupid. It's all dumb.
Yeah.
And he just kind of talks like that.
We could have, I guess, just done an impersonation of Marcus.
I think we pretty,
It sounded the same.
But he did a good job.
Yeah.
Of a great time in our lives.
But
this is also one of the many episodes we've had Cartman beat influenced by wanting to make $1 million and then $10 million.
Yeah.
And it always seems to work.
It's sort of always, yeah. It actually, this episode did kick off because remember it was this, and there was like Cartman Land, and there were other ones came up where it was this sort of 6 months or a year where like half the shows were based on Cartman wanting to get $10 million.
Yeah, and I think it's a Roadrunner kind of thing where you could just have a show about Cartman wanting to make $1 million and just have every episode start that way.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be funny.
And actually, we're thinking about really beefing South Park up this season and have him want $10 billion.
Yeah, or he's gonna. Yeah, that's right. We talked about he finds out that there's this thing called billion.
Yeah, which he never knew.
Which he never knew. Oh my god. What else happens in this show? Well, this is the show. I mean, it's about one thing: the boys starting a boy band. But then we realized you can have different stories that
Different emotions.
emotional stories. You know, like Stan's dad right here, who we find out has some weird hang up with the boys band that then reveals itself in a backstory.
Yeah, which
But-
is pretty sweet because he was in a boy band.
Right, and so we figured out it is really one story and then different people's reaction to it, instead of just starting 3 different stories and then trying to have them collide in the end. So we really kind of figured that out. It was
Yeah.
really kind of like,
Oh, and you know what is actually really interesting about this show is, you know
there's-
what? We've talked way too much about this
yeah,
show. We should just.
we'll let you guys just watch it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So this was called "Do the Handicapped Go to Hell?" which was basically a question we'd asked ourselves many times.
We had asked Anne.
Oh, that's right, because Anne, the producer on the show, it was she's Catholic, and she's actually in this episode. Anne Garofino, she plays the nun because she was the only Catholic we actually knew, so we had to have her play it.
But what the question is do they go to hell? Why was it exactly?
Well, because certain things go to purgatory, because like babies go to purgatory.
But it's because they can't accept Jesus Christ. It's because they don't understand. Or
Yeah,
something? It was like,
which is
well,
like-
what if they don't understand? Do they still go
Right,
to hell?
yeah.
And by strict scripture reading, they do.
go to hell.
They go to hell.
Right.
Yeah. And we thought that was a pretty cool, and actually pretty funny.
But this was also the first time we'd gone back to visit hell since the movie, since South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and it was basically just because we like the characters so much of Saddam and Satan that we sort of wanted to bring them back. And we're like, well, yeah, but Saddam died at the end of the movie, and it's like, well, we came with like, yeah, but where's he going to go? Detroit? And
Yeah.
And it ends up being about 18 people say that in this show. And this show was also the first 2-parter we did.
Well, since
since
the first season.
right,
thing.
but that was like, this was the first 2-parter that was like 1 week after another.
Right.
But this was an honest, true 2-parter in that we got into the show, and by about Sunday before it was going to air, we were like, there's way too much here. We can't possibly squeeze it all down into 20 minutes. Let's just make it 2 parts.
Yep. And so we did.
And this is our first sort of glimpse at luau parties in hell, and which came from my favorite song. I love old Hawaiian sort of post-World War II music, and Hukilau is my favorite one.
And here it is. I love those little black little cutout demon guys.
Yeah.
There's Jer Bear.
It's pretty funny because this, it's obviously just video lava footage in the background to try to make it look like like hell.
So shitty. It's so super shitty.
But
We got in a big fight with the standards people about putting JFK Jr. in there.
oh yeah.
Or
They're
that
like,
was the
you
Christmas
can't have him there. And it's like,
that
well, why
wasn't
can't you have anyone there?
And that was the Christmas Classics episode.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
So now we had won.
But we also had Diem Bahar do a voice for this again.
Yeah, that's
as
right.
The voice of Chris, Satan's new boyfriend, who's a wuss. And
I think the storyline with the Chris and Satan and Saddam is great. It's
because it's something everyone can relate to. It's kind of like there's the person that's bad for you, but you just are so super attracted to, and then the person who's so good to you that's just such a puss.
right, but you know that they're who you should be with.
Yeah.
But it was just like I just think this storyline is really a solid soap opera storyline, but it's just so fucked up what's going on. And it's also good because by the end of the episode, Cartman's basically turned into a David Koresh guy.
Oh yeah. There's this Hummel collection.
Trey's mom actually has a bunch of Hummels. There's Dean right there.
So that's it. We'll see you on the second part of this.
All right, bye-bye.
Previously on South Park.
Today, we're going to talk about...
So yeah, this was the we decided, we'd never done this before, really, where the week before we had started a story and now we're going to finish it. So we had to do the typical, let everyone know what had happened. But then we just sort of randomly added in, didn't we? That's my favorite shot of this whole thing. We just put on, we put it the Fonzie, because it was always on like Happy Days that was always continued. Yeah, this thing was always continued the next week, and it was like he was going to jump the shark, basically.
Yeah, and then they catch the preacher, and all the kids lose their faith. And right here, and that's the setup.
And then
is he going to make it?
And so this show, like so many in this sort of year, the whole thing ends up being that Cartman wanted $10 million.
Right, exactly. And he actually had been planning it all along. But somewhere along the line, Cartman got this weird affinity towards like Southern Baptist accents anyway, and I think it was just like the authority thing of respect my authority.
As soon as I did like Cartman sort of preaching, it was completely natural.
It just
he
made
just kind of
sense.
does that all the time anyway.
And then you realize all those guys are kind of just Cartman, basically, that do that voice. All those Baptists.
But there was also, remember, there was that little kid we saw in some show that was doing that. Some little Southern kid that we saw, like Maury Povich or something, that held a Bible on the playground and did just bitch at all the kids. And he was just a little Cartman. He was just a little fat kid going, "You will be damned." It's pretty sweet.
And there's Sister Anne right there. That's Anne Garofino. She continues her brilliant role as Anne.
Which is pretty sweet, too, because I don't remember if it's in the first part or the second part, but this is where we basically assert that everybody goes to hell except for Mormons. That because if it is true that there can only be one religion that's actually right, and so it's the Mormons.
It's an episode where you also know from seeing in the last few episodes between Bruce doing a voice and Anne doing a voice, that our utter disdain for actors. So we always just get our friends and people who work on the show to do voices.
Because every time we try to get an actor to do stuff, they come in, but then we call them at like 2 a.m. going, "Oh, we got to change the line. We got to, we're going to write a new thing," and they're just like, "What? Well, you've got to call my agent. I'll come in tomorrow at noon, and you have lunch ready for me."
Exactly, and a lot of times
suck
actors,
my balls too.
A lot of times actors don't understand that, like a lot of South Park voices are just supposed to be really normal. And a lot of voiceover actors come in and they try to do a funny voice.
This part's sweet too, because this is where he's watching he turns on the gay porno.
Oh yeah.
Remember when we like got footage? We actually got some footage of a gay porno from this gay director that loves South Park, and so for like
one night, and then
that
one
whole
night it was
week
just,
we had the videos there.
Yeah, but then one night it was just me and Trey, and I think Ann had even gone home.
Yeah.
And we were editing, and so Trey just cut in a bunch of this gay porn right at the front of each cut so that the Avid guys had to remember.
Yeah.
Their editors.
But
had
we
to watch
cut in
it.
like full on hardcore, like close up penetration and like and
we thought everyone would get a big kick out of
we
it.
thought everything was funny, and they didn't think it was
And our homophobic post department did not think it was funny at all. They were bummed out on us, like seriously pissed off.
I remember we were almost going to send it to Comedy Central that way.
Yeah. But that's the kind of shit that goes down all the time in the offices of South Park. But that one misfired.
Yeah, that one didn't work.
But they couldn't get too pissed because what are they going to do? It was us. They were the boss. They couldn't do anything.
Well, I'm sorry. We really went on way
excuse
too
us,
long
excuse
on
us,
that
but
one.
why don't you just go ahead and watch?
We'll be back on the next episode.
Drink too much.
So this was the episode called Fourth Grade that we actually was the beginning of another season for us, and we decided to kind of make fun of how shows reinvent themselves, and that's why we made that super hip introduction where we just technoed up the song and put slick computer graphics in it, but it was actually still just going to be the same crappy animation you've always seen.
And I guess we were always reporters always asked us, so like how old are the kids now?
Yeah.
You know, and so it's one of those things when you do a show and you've been doing it for a few years, you're like, well, these kids aren't aging. So we thought we'd have them age to fourth grade, like it was that different.
Because that was such a obviously that was the biggest milestone in your life as a kid, was what grade you were getting into, and we thought we'll sort of reinvent the show a little bit and give them a new teacher, a new Mr. Garrison, and it's pretty funny because just about everything we ended up doing in this season and the season after, we ended up going back on and worked through all this shit to end up getting Mr. Garrison right back.
Because we just liked him better as a character. He's so much better as a character.
It's so funny because, it's an animated show. There's absolutely no reason why we need to say they aged at all. There's no reason we needed to have them move into the fourth grade. It was just something to do. But this was the first. This was the introduction of the new school teacher, Miss Chokes on Dick, and her.
We had a lot of arguments with the the network about. We had to say we got very specific. She's like, you can do it, but you have to say like chokes on dick, so it sounds like this Eastern European name.
It was one
and
of
we
those,
just went around and just said chokes on dick by the end of it.
Yeah, it was one of those typical things with the network where it was just like the first one was such a chore. It was like it's got to be chokes on dick. It was like it's got to be done like this. And by the end, we were just going, Miss chokes on dick.
She chokes
and it was
on dick.
by the third show, they didn't care anymore. And also, of course, we had a lot of fights with just how much veiny nipples and breasts we were going to see in this. And
we actually got away with quite a bit, looking back.
I'm pretty... And my favorite thing is when the cats sort of inexplicably show up.
Oh, that's right. They're just sucking on her teeth.
They just, like, want to be around.
They're just sucking on her teeth. I like this, too, because that's a good solution, to just get a time machine and go back in time to the 3rd grade. And I think we mentioned it before, but the 2 geeks are based on our 2 systems guys here, because we do the whole show on computers, and they're Sean and JJ. They've been in the show. Every time we need the Star Trek dorks, they come into play. This is great right here. I like this part.
Everything was great in 3rd grade. Now that it's all over, we're starting to see just how special it was.
This has really become Cartman's thing, is that no matter where Cartman is, he always wants to be someplace else.
Yeah.
That's basically Cartman's MO through a lot of the shows. Is he just, this wasn't the way 3rd grade was. It sucked. But Cartman wants to be anywhere but where he is.
And he often has a song about it.
Yeah.
He often has a song about the place he'd rather be. Well, that's way plenty for this episode.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to bore you, so we'll move on right
We're
now to the
starting
next
to,
episode here.
Hearts full of love, and there wasn't a care in the world for me, but for you.
This is the episode Trapper Keeper, and this is another great example of how current events helped our ass when we didn't know where the show should go. We basically had the whole Trapper Keeper storyline, but we needed a B story and we couldn't figure out what it was. But this show we were making it right at the time of the elections, the presidential
The 2000 election, yeah.
And when that whole thing went down with Bush and Gore, and in Florida, the whole recount was still happening, and we just decided to do that in the kindergarten with basically kindergartners whining about the whole thing, because that's sort of what was going on in the country at the time.
And a little girl named Flora who couldn't make up her mind,
Right,
basically.
Florida. And this is the first time we saw, Garrison's basically sort of been redeemed in the last episode, so now he gets to go back and teach kindergarten. And we really had fun with the kindergarten kids, because we basically had one of the producers on the show, Frank, his son, Nico, did the voice. And it was just this cute little kid that just sort of talks like that and was able to get all these great sort of kiddie lines and just put them into the mouths of the, instead of adults doing the voices of kids. It was so funny to hear a little kid actually do it. And because Frank was a producer on the show, he'd let his kids say whatever we wanted. So
Yeah, which was good for us. And then this guy from the future here, he's that's doing that voice is Kyle McCullough, one of the writers on South Park, he's done quite a few voices actually.
Yeah, Kyle used to do that all the time. Before this episode, Kyle used to sort of go around, and even if we were staying at a hotel for writer's retreat or whatever, he'd be like, I lost the key to my human room. Room. To just try to see, waiting for those few people. They're like, oh my God, I think
That guy's from outer space.
Yeah. So we finally ended up in a show. And I remember it was originally a Friends Trapper Keeper. Remember?
Yeah. I don't know if it's the way it is, but when we were growing up, having a Trapper Keeper was fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like, people loved their Trapper Keepers and all the shit you could keep in them. I don't know if it's much anymore, but
So we actually had a few kids. Frank's kid is the main kid with the darker hair, and then we had sort of all these other kids come in and say random lines. I think it's pretty cute. That's the only thing I'm bummed out about now that we have Garrison back teaching the boys, is that now we don't have the kindergarten kids anymore.
Yeah, maybe we should have kindergarten.
But actually, all those kids that we use now, they don't sound cute anymore.
Well, we always have to find new kids.
Yeah, now they sound like little brats again.
There's been 3 or 4 Ikes.
I think there's been 10 Ikes probably.
Yeah, one about every year, because there's only a little window where a kid is actually babbling in that cute way, and then they turn into little assholes, basically. There's a really good Rosie O'Donnell joke in this episode too. That's the only thing I remember.
Oh, I know what the joke is. She's a big fat bitch.
Yeah,
That's the joke.
that's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's what it was.
That's pretty much the joke.
And the other thing is, isn't NORAD in this episode? Isn't it NORAD that he goes to?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And NORAD is the Cheyenne Mountain, which is where the was it Northern? You know what it is. It's the air defense for the whole country, and it actually is just right near South Park.
And so the other thing that makes my trapper keep full of the tiles.
So we mixed fact and fiction and made a whole new creation with this show.
I remember we were on Lake Powell when we came up with this episode.
That's right. We're on a houseboat.
Yeah. And I remember my grandma was sitting there drinking wine and listening to us make up a show because we were on this houseboat in Lake Powell, and Matt and I and a couple other friends, and we basically had to come up with an episode or else we had to come back, and so we came up with this.
Oh, you are so full of crap, Cartman. Little spikes will not come
That's
out.
probably
So,
about it.
I'm sorry, wow. I'm sorry we bored you with all that.
We're gonna get some
we'll
beers.
go on to the next show.
If it doesn't have metal spikes, then hold it.
So this was our Thanksgiving special, and called Helen Keller the Musical. But I remember that sort of one thing we decided to try to do was Timmy was still really popular. Even, it had been about 8 months since Timmy was out. And for some reason, Timmy was still like the most popular character. And we decided, let's try to do an episode where even though Timmy can do nothing but say his own name, where we actually really give him a big emotional story. And that's where we came up with him, kind of. It's basically the Charlie Brown Christmas special where, they're in charge of going out and getting the Christmas tree. So Kyle and Timmy are in charge of going out and getting a turkey. And Timmy, of course, wants to get this sort of messed up turkey that they bring back, and everyone rips on him.
That shot's from The Right Stuff.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie The Right Stuff?
That shot you can use it a lot. Everyone sort of knows now the Right Stuff shot. We do a Right Stuff shot, and then we're back into the theater.
I think at the beginning of this how Stan, he's talking like this because he's wearing a crepe hair beard, and it hurts so bad to talk with a crepe hair
Which we really
beard.
knew because we did this movie called Cannibal the Musical, and we had to wear crepe hair beards in it, and that's what we did. Basically, the whole last third of that movie, we're saying our lines like this because we are like cold and we don't want to move our.
Because you have to put on this spirit gum all over your face, and it just cracks, and you're like, all right, my guys, let's go over here. Stan with the crepe hair beard.
And I remember too, there's this in this character is where we sort of have the Jean Valjean character, where
The theater
that
guy.
guy from the theater guy they bring in was based on the guy who plays Jean Valjean in Les Miserables on Broadway. And actually, sort of every place I've seen it, it's always like a guy that, for some reason, has to talk like this and say, "He is only a boy," and like that's just sort of how he talks for some reason. I remember we drew Gobbles. Oh, remember this? Actually, Gobbles was a dog to begin with.
Yep, that's right, yeah.
And we actually started the show, and it started animating the show where Gobbles was a little dog. I think before we decided to make it a Thanksgiving special.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
And he just found this little puppy that was kind of retarded and fell in love with it, and then had to let the puppy go. And it was just too fucking sad, basically.
It just wasn't
Gobbles
funny.
being a puppy was just so cute, and it was so sad when he gets sent away.
But that was just that's that classic scene where the boy has to tell the animal to has to get mad at it to make it leave because Timmy knows that it's the best thing for Gobbles. That was basically like that was the scene we knew we wanted to parody. And you had to write the whole thing around that because it's just such a classic.
And your lead character can
great-
only say Timmy.
Yeah, you can't really say anything. Yeah, here's that theater guy character.
But I also actually one of my favorite scenes in South Park's in this show where the Jean Valjean guy tells Cartman he needs to close his eyes and just try to let his mind run free, and they blindfold him and we see what's in Cartman's mind, and it's basically like live video footage of a mouse eating another mouse's brain.
I think it's his brain. And then
Along
that
with a
weird
lot of
alien
other
character that's just a freaky character.
Yeah.
Totally scary.
This is one of those. We've done a few Thanksgiving specials in South Park. I think 3, and this was one of the times when every time we do, I'm always with my family in Cheyenne, Wyoming, actually, because that's where Grandma is. And so, of course, the family always wants to gather around and watch South Park as part of Thanksgiving, because this is on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And as per usual, the family all sits around and basically just kind of sits there and stares at me and is like, what the fuck is wrong with
The
you?
fuck is this? I like water, Helen, water. I think
Yeah.
that's funny too.
once again, yeah, it was sort of delusions of grandeur going into this, with 1 week to make this show. We're like, we'll do a whole musical about Helen Keller.
Yeah, that Great Expectations thing.
Yeah.
Great. We'll do this.
Oh, I'm sorry. We've gone on way too long. I'm
All
sorry.
right. See y'all.
Garage!
So this episode, yeah, I really can't explain this at all.
This is actually probably one of the least popular episodes of South Park that we ever produced, although I think it's really cool.
All I remember is that, I know that we had the character of Pip from the very, very beginning of South Park. The pilot episode, we always, for some reason, had Pip in there. And we talked about doing this from the very beginning. We're like, we should just take that little Pip kid and basically just do Great Expectations South Park style. Mm-hmm. Which seemed like a decent enough idea, except that Great Expectations kind of sucks. And so it's like, and it's certainly not very funny.
The end of Great Expectations really sucks.
Yeah. This ending is much, much better with robot monkeys because, as soon as I remember, the first time I read Great Expectations, I was sort of expecting robot monkeys at the end. And when they didn't come, I decided someday we'd make this.
So we asked Malcolm McDowell to do this, and luckily he said yes. Mostly because we wanted to say from the very beginning of this episode, you're not going to see the Cartman and Butters and everybody in this episode.
Because as we learned from the Terrence and Phillip episode, like
don't expect,
you got to let your audience know, otherwise they sit there the entire time going, okay, when are we going to get out of this British crap and go see Cartman fart on Kyle?
Yeah, where's Cartman? So we tried. That was our kind of way of saying this is going to be an extremely different experience, and most people I think pretty much hated it.
Yeah.
But I think it's really good.
It really kind of follows Great Expectations.
It does pretty well,
for
actually,
the most part.
we
basically just did Great Expectations right up until the very end. And it was fun for us and our animators just because we were doing something stylistically a little bit different. It was sort of one of the first times we did that.
But this is one of the prisons that we're in doing South Park is a lot of times we want to do just different like this. Like, oh, that'd be really cool to do that, but you kind of have to figure out a way to do it with the characters you've established or people don't like it as much.
Yeah. It's funny, yeah, you try to do something a little different and people get angry.
Yeah. And all these few shows that we've done that have been like, oh, let's do a whole episode without the boys. It's all Great Expectations with Pip. I mean, it takes, the production staff twice as much work to do, and everyone just hates it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're going to do it much
I don't know
anymore.
if we're going to do that again. Actually, as we're doing this commentary right now, we're making a show where the boys turn into anime characters.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the same thing. Like, you're kind of, as cool as it is, I think a lot of the audience is just going to be like, I don't care about these characters. I want to see the boys.
I want to see my boys.
So
That right there, this guy, the blacksmith guy, that's Kyle McCullough doing that voice again.
I think Kyle did a lot of these because he can do British voices.
He can do really good British voices because he grew up in Canada watching a bunch of British TV.
But didn't we also have? No, I remember that this was the show in every run of South Park. We do one show that we call, we bank it basically, because every show we do on the fly, we do it the week it airs, and that's when we make it and write it and everything. But then, sort of right around this time or a little before, we had gotten in the habit of trying to at least half start one episode, so that in the middle of a run, which is about 2 months long, we could take at least 2 days off. 3 days off, and because we had one show kind of started, and then we have to come back and finish it really quick. And for some stupid ass reason, we made it this episode, which was like so complicated and so a whole different style that we went away. And I remember it because for Thanksgiving we went away.
That's right.
So we could be with our families, and then we came back on Sunday going, okay, we got to finish this Great Expectations in 2 days. And that's pretty much why you get robot monkeys at the end.
Yeah, that's why you get robot monkeys. I remember the greatest part about hanging out with Malcolm is you could hear old stories about Stanley Kubrick and Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
And he's a really cool guy. So,
But really, I mean, it's like we were trying, it was like, it's really like we were sitting there doing this joke, but this really is pretty much Great Expectations. That's what she does. This little girl takes him up and is just insulting him the entire time, and he just takes it like a bitch. And, we were kind of going back and forth. Well, I guess, should we try to start making it really funny and weird? And it's like, no, let's just stick to it and do Great Expectations. Fuck it. Until the very end.
So that's what you get.
So that's why this is what it is.
Well, Charles Dickens' writing credit on this.
Yeah, we should have probably. But
that's that.
That's plenty about that episode. Sorry about that.
And I have a fancy I should like to see someone play. So play.
So this is our episode we called Fat Camp, and I don't remember a whole lot about this episode except that it was really funny.
Now, what we are going to today is the West Indian medicine.
I remember that the idea that, I mean, the original idea was that Cartman goes to fat camp, obviously, and that Cartman is the one guy that would figure out how to profit on. I mean, obviously, Cartman is supposed to be troubled by his weight, but he's not. But he goes to fat camp, and he's like the one guy who's cruel enough to even profit off other fat people.
Yeah.
And so that's what I remember. I remember him. I remember the little fat kid crying and Cartman giving him the candy bar. That's one of my favorite scenes.
That's a great scene. But the B story in this was basically Kenny will do anything for money, and it was because it was right about the time that Tom Green and Jackass and all those shows were so popular. And it was just sort of basically off of that of like, you know, Kenny becoming a little Jackass character where it's like, you know, all right, if I eat a spleen, if that'll get me on TV and make me money, I'll do it.
Well, because everyone had there was a poor kid who lives on my block, and his name was Stoney, and his real name was Stoney actually. That's funny. And Stoney would eat worms if you gave him $1. So everyone knew that poor kid that would do anything for money because they actually were so poor.
He just farted him against the wall. That was sweet.
Honey, why don't you go make it yourself?
But I remember we had a fat. This was another one of those ideas where we always knew Cartman needed to go to fat camp, like a fat camp show, because we always saw those fat camp shows on Oprah and stuff like that, where they sent the kids there, and we had just never quite figured it out. I also remember the end of this show. I think the end of this show, still to this day, is one of the most disgusting things we've ever done on the show, where Kenny crawls up into Miss Crabtree's vagina to like live up in her uterus for some time.
Yes.
And he ends up dying up there. So the last shot of it is basically just her pushing a dead boy out of her cooch,
out of her womb.
And that was the big thing, was do we call it cooch or coos? And I can't remember which one it ended up being, but Comedy Central wouldn't let us say one, but the other was okay.
Comedy Central standards always kind of had a problem with stinky coos or smelly vagina. Any kind of smelly vagina jokes they just really weren't into.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, you can figure it out, though.
Yeah, so you can figure out what was going on there.
I remember too. It was pretty funny though, because we had the shot, and it was really just, even for us, it just grossed us out, because it's just she pushes out, and Kenny just comes, you know, just slugging dead body out of her vagina, and so Comedy Central's like, well, okay, you can do that, but you have to put a little curtain up in front of her vagina. So just like right where her vagina is, there's just like a little curtain. So you see everything else. You see the dead boy hit the floor and all that.
You know what's going on.
Boy, it is gross.
Oh, I'm already sleepy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You all must be super sleepy out there. We'll stop right now.
Sorry about that, everybody.
So gross.
This is Wacky Molestation Adventure, and unlike so many of the other shows, this show actually does have a really interesting story with it that we can tell, because this was like later in the season, so of course it was all being done on the fly. Had to think of it all the week it aired, but it was all going along fine, and we kind of had the idea that the boys, kind of like a Children of the Corn, take over the town because all their parents have been sent away. And the idea was, you know, Cartman's kind of got one side of the town, and Stan and Kyle have the others, and they're kind of at war. And we just, you know, we kind of knew where it was headed. And by about Saturday, we were really stuck and just like, oh, man, where does this go?
Cartman has to get the boys.
Yeah, and we finally had a sweet, sweet idea, which was that Cartman, his whole plan is to just build a giant shield to like block the sun out from the other side of town. Like he's gonna block the sun
from Smiley Town, I think it was.
Yeah, block the sun out of Smiley Town, and we just thought that was sweet, and that was so Cartman. We were laughing about it, and we kind of figured out how it was all gonna happen.
All weekend, I remember I was on cloud nine. I thought that was gonna be the coolest end to a show.
I think it was like Sunday. It was either Sunday or even Monday that one of the writers, Kyle, was basically, you know, because we just all sit around and talk about the show, and we're like, yeah, and then it could be this, and it'll be that, and he's like, well, yeah, but you should just do it the same way the Simpsons did it. And we're like, what? And he goes, you know, when the Simpsons had, what's his name?
Yeah, Mr. Burns.
Yeah, Mr. Burns block out the sun from Springfield, and we were just like, what? And we're like, why the hell? The Simpsons did that, and that's always a thing in our writers' meetings. Like a lot of times when we come up with sweet ideas, someone will go, "Oh, the Simpsons already did it," and we just get so pissed off because
the Simpsons are like 300 shows. They've done so many things, and it's hard not to do
Yeah.
And they've done so many things well. It's so hard to stay away off that territory.
So it's
but that
almost
was one where we were
impossible.
so excited for. We thought it was the best end to a show.
Well, not only that, but it had us, basically we were down to the wire now, and that was the crux of the whole rest of the show. We were just like, what the fuck do we do now? And so that's what we came with the whole John Elway statue thing that happens in the end, and the Star Trek speech, which actually turned out pretty sweet too. I like the Star Trek
The
speech.
blocking out the sun. If the Simpsons had done it, that would have been great too.
But and that actually was this was the episode that then made us. I don't know how much later we did it, but we ended up doing a show called Simpsons Did It, where basically Butters is being tormented by all the sweet ideas he's having. The Simpsons already did it, and that's exactly how we feel.
That's
a lot
exactly
of
how
the
we
time.
feel a lot. Sucks playing second fiddle.
Yeah.
I remember this was also like the Children of the Corn and like Road Warrior
that
3,
thing when they,
the Mad Max. There was kids that lived on their own, and then there was also this movie called King of Hearts that I saw one time about the insane asylum is let out. The rest of the town is basically the lunatics are let out of the asylum, and there's nobody else there.
Yeah.
So it's like those kind of movies that I was inspired by.
But it was just sweet because basically we say it's been like a week or something. And
Yeah,
like,
and they
this is
just
all
totally formed their own
completely
little.
jaded.
Oh, there's a Star Trek too, little kids,
Yeah.
kid planet too.
Oh yeah, that's right. The little kid planet.
Yeah.
Miri.
So there's always like kid society things where there weren't any adults around. It's a pretty cool idea.
I just called the police and said he was molested.
See, is there anything else interesting about this show?
And then molested, and they go to jail and they teach him.
It's a pretty
Not to be
bad
turned on.
scene where they're trying to tell him not to be turned on by the little boy.
And then the space thing. So he's dressed up like a spacesuit. Because we also I remember we entertained starting the whole episode just with the random people driving.
That's right.
And starting the whole episode just cold. You'd come in on the people driving, and you would flash back to how the boys got in this thing. But then we kind of came up with a molested idea.
Well, I think we figured out that's how. But I remember actually for a few days the show did start that way,
And it was
and
just
this
gonna
stuff we're
begin that
seeing
way.
right now was all flashback. But then the more we watched it on the Avid, we just kind of like it's tough to
You
follow.
lose a lot of jokes.
Yeah.
Because people don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, because people, it's tough with comedy when everyone's trying to figure out what's going on. They're not really laughing that much. So,
that's
anyway,
that's that.
That's that show. We'll
There
see
you
you on
go.
the next one.
Years. You're not listening to me.